Welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you guys could join me again today. If you are new here, welcome. So we are getting into this Candace Owens, Kirks and TPUSA drama again. So today was the day that Candace Owens went live talking about the details of her and Erika's 4-hour meeting, 4.5-hour meeting, that they had yesterday. I have a lot of thoughts and I'm quite disappointed, but I'll go in more details about my feelings as we review her live stream that she did earlier tonight. So let's get into it.
Okay, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody back at home. Happy Hanukkah to our greatest friends and allies. And, this is a good time to mention that Israel does have a right to defend itself. Tucker Carlson is Adolf Hitler. And TikTok does need to be purchased by the Mossad. It's just how I'm feeling today. I am not different. Maybe you are different. Welcome back to Candace.
Oh my gosh. Talk about being petty. Hilarious.
Okay, you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. The amount of people who attacked me for sending out a tweet being like, hey, I'm good, I'm alive. We had a very productive conversation. And they were like, she got the call. She got the call. She's betrayed us. She's doing something else. I can't believe it. This has all just been a show. Calm down, okay? What do you think happened? Well, Erika said, stop. And then I was frozen for 4 hours and 30 minutes, just like, as they just put all of these talking points into my head. That is not what happened. I keep telling you guys, I am not governable. I am basically akin to Kanye West. I never felt more seen than when he tweeted a lot of years ago, just fired my manager because I realized I can't be managed. That is me. That tweet right there, I was like, oh gosh.
Well, Candace, let's hope that you actually keep up that energy throughout this update, because a lot of us are really looking closely at how you're going to handle this situation. So we shall see.
Yes, Kanye, that I get this. Okay. Nobody is changing their mind anything. How ridiculous would it have been if I'm doing all of this, investigating, asking all of these questions, and then Erika Kirks offers to answer some of these questions, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I can't betray the people. I don't want any answers to the questions. I just want to ask them. No, this is the entire reason we are doing this. We've been looking at the situation going, why can't Turning Point USA just answer basic questions? And I can tell you guys that yesterday, for 4 hours and 30 minutes, there were no rules. They said you can ask us any question that you want, anything that's on your mind, which I appreciated. And some of you guys are thinking, who is they? Who is they? It's the Jews, obviously. Just kidding. It's Justin Strife. Justin Strife was in the room. It was just Justin Strife and Erika. George joined me just for the beginning portion of the conversation because he had that thing going on that I told you on the 15th all day. He was in a conference. And then I brought my cousin Mia, the one that has a really bad attitude. I just bring her there for vibes. I think it just confuses people. They're like, I don't understand what's this person doing here. And the reality is she's like always just listening to Cardi B music. But she's my cousin and I always have her around. And so that was it. She was kind of sitting a little bit away, but at the table, it was really just the four of us until George left. And
well, yeah, let's hope that your cousin actually helped you out by slightly recording some of that conversation so that you can at least have some notes to look back on in the future, even if you don't share it with us. But personally, I feel like you should have never agreed to that meeting being private in the first place. She had so many opportunities to talk to you in the past. I think at this point, you should have demanded that, no, I'll definitely have this meeting with you on record, on camera, and we both can facilitate how it gets edited. Okay. But to have this completely private, I think was like the wrong move to make. And later on, you guys are going to understand why I'm saying that.
I will be honest, I did not know what to expect going into the room. I did not know if they were going to be open. I didn't know what Erika's energy was going to be like, if it was going to be more of an argument, if there was going to be legal threats. You guys were telling me not to drink water, so I didn't drink water. Well, I brought my own water, but I didn't drink that water too. It was a lot. There's a lot going on, okay? And the conversation started with Justin Strife very sensibly saying, what are we looking to accomplish here? Like, what is the actual aim of this conversation? And he was pretty clear, and Erika was very clear, that they were sort of most upset with what obviously a bit of a fever pitch, what I tweeted, that it was a godforsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know,
You know what's so funny? I asked my husband, was that really aggressive? And he's just like, yeah, it's kind of aggressive. And I'm just like, but why? Look at what these people are doing. Look at how much they've been lying. Aggressive? I don't think I would have backed down and made that determination for me saying, oh, don't donate to this company. There are plenty of nonprofit organizations that are kind of for profit that don't deserve the success that they have. And Turning Point USA might be one of those companies, especially at this point. So she thinks it's aggressive. My husband is like, it's kind of aggressive. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't think it's aggressive. If that's how you feel, then that's how you feel.
I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the very beginning, like casually when I mentioned the Catholicism thing. Like, what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview, which is clearly aimed at me. And they've teased the interview. It's like aimed at me, but they never say my name. And that to me felt like it was the first, the first bit of mud that was slung, which their answer for that was, hey, that was a really crazy time. A new system had to be put into place. And by no means did Erika give any person the authority to go out and say that the Catholicism thing was a lie. It kind of turned into this big thing. Whatever. Okay, that kind of obviously was not the meat of the.
I find that quite interesting because you're going to see that throughout this entire stream that there is a theme that's going on here. So let's all be very clear and very aware that throughout this entire time, Blake Neff has been extremely clear that everything that they have done and everything that they have said has been greenlit by Erika Kirk directly. So all of these men are saying that they're not doing anything and or saying anything that they have not put past her first or gotten the green light from her first on that particular situation. So I just find that to be quite interesting that there's going to be a theme of Erika Kirk acting as if she had no idea what was going on. So why the hell is Blake going around on your show that was once your husband's show saying that everything that they do, including the tweets and any emails or anything that gets sent out to the public, is greenlit by you? But you just so happen to not have been aware of these guys saying what they said. Now, in the beginning, I could totally understand that. But how does that also apply to situations that happen well after the first week, the first 2 weeks of you being in office?
The reason that we wanted to sit down. I will say I was immediately refreshed by the fact that one of the first things that Erika did was she owned the lies, or rather, I guess they would cage it as miscommunications that were coming from various people at the company. Like, look, this is a company with 650 people that are employed. Everybody at this time is exceedingly emotional, and they are communicating. And no matter what somebody says on Twitter, they assume that this communication has come down from management, and that's not always a circumstance. But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erika sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly. But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erika saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained. Erika said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages. And it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram. And that those when she heard me say that, they then went and looked. And yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now, they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before, and I said no. Somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said.
Okay, so perfect. You jumped the gun on that meeting, looking like a distressed widow who was fed up, saying that that's a complete lie. Charlie didn't text anyone the night before. I had his phone. She was very, very like straight up confident about saying that. And it's just like, okay, hey, everybody knows that all of these political guys don't use iMessage because a lot of them are always saying shit that they don't want to be tracked. Okay, so that's why they use text message services like Telegram and Signal. Signal actually deletes a lot of your messages after a certain amount of time. So I'm surprised that those messages were actually still there. What if he had some type of what do you call it, kill switch on when that message would delete? And he probably made it to where the message would never delete because he wanted someone to find it just in case he did get murdered. And voila, they found it. So that right there alone should let all of us know that, oh, so a lot of this stuff that Candace has been talking about is probably way too accurate and way too close to the truth. And that is why Erika Kirk all of a sudden wanted to actually come out and have a meeting with her. Now, how Candace just went over this little synopsis of what happened in that part of the conversation, very much so docile, if you ask me. Like, she's having it like it's a basic conversation. And it's like, that was a major part of your investigation. That people were saying, oh, you must be loony for saying that this man sent out these text messages saying he thought he was going to be killed. Hey, the fact that it has been confirmed that 2 of his head guys received a message saying that, oh, I think they're going to kill me tomorrow, and no one made sure that this man had full cover, and they didn't change the location at the last minute and bring it inside versus having it outside, now makes me feel like, oh, so her suspicion towards Andrew and other individuals on the team is actually more accurate than we thought it was. I'm flabbergasted. How could you guys receive a message from your really good friend and partner and still allow for him to travel and to go to these different events and not change the setup of the event? Okay, if the event is supposed to be outside, we're going to move it inside. It's only going to be a half an hour difference, maybe not even, right? Because most colleges have auditoriums. So how hard would it have been for them to say, hey, can we have this event inside of one of your auditoriums? We can't do it outside anymore. How hard would that have been? The amount of time that it takes for you to set up an outside venue, you would have been able to set it up faster just doing it inside at a random location inside of the building. So the fact that you guys didn't look out for him lets me know that you are not to be trusted. And I feel like in this part of the segment, Candace should have probably put a little bit more emotion behind how she was talking. Because when I first listened to this, some of the information in which she's giving, I slightly missed some of it because she was so lackadaisical in how she was explaining it. And I'm just like, why is she so calm? Like, that was a big factor that she now has been proven to be true. Why is she so calm? Okay, Erika admitted that they were wrong. Whoop-de-doo. She knew that they were wrong. She knew that they were wrong. That's probably why she was panicking and acting the way that she was. And she, it just got to the point to where she saw that Candace wasn't letting up, and now the audience is on her ass. This was major, and I'm really disappointed in how she carried this in this segment. She was just way too calm and lackadaisical with how she explained it. But that was major.
Which is, they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who they were, that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it.
And the fact that they was just like, oh, do you have an actual printout of Dan Flood's message? Like, call Dan. That's your guy. Why are you asking me? Like, they're just fishing to see what she has. And it's just very, it's just very yucky, just to say the least. It's very yucky and super suspect.
Said they. Now, obviously, we discussed the moment, and I'm laughing here because you TikTokers are actually out of control. You guys are going to be the reason that Israel gets TikTok, because you guys are acting a fool all the time. And the videos were so hilarious of you guys mocking the Barry Weiss interview. It's great. It's good to laugh at ourselves. And Barry Weiss is always worth laughing at. But I was sort of like, hey, I felt name checked by the podcaster, Candace Owens, this obvious setup, and then asking me to stop. And it's interesting to hear Erika say that the reason she didn't ask me to stop in the beginning, because she was actually learning things from the show. She was actually learning things, and that I think she similarly felt that Barry Weiss was trying to create a moment. Obviously, it's who Barry Weiss is. It's the Zionist lobby. She's trying to right perceived wrongs because I'm against her side. That does not surprise me. That's kind of why Barry Weiss.
Oh, sure. Blame it on Barry Weiss and say, oh, she tried to trick me into a media moment. Well, honey, you failed. You failed. She tricked you into one anyway. And if that was really the situation, why aren't you media trained to the point to where you can say, hey, why are you asking me that? I really don't want to speak about that. You don't have balls enough to say, hey, I don't want to speak about that. That's not why I'm here. Oh, I think she tried to get me into a media moment. Don't they all? You really thought she wasn't going to ask about that? Why are these people going on these shows not prepared for what they know people are going to obviously ask them about? I just feel like that was a cop-out.
Exists. That's the reason they put her at CBS, is because she's just committed to stacking the audience with people that are going to present the pro-Israel cause and talk about anti-Semitism and talk about crime being on the rise. It's kind of an embarrassment, but I actually do accept that. And I should also clarify that Barry Weiss obviously picked those questions. They were not random, like I told you. It wasn't like people were coming to the mic and it was an open mic and they didn't know what they were going to get. It was all very much planned by Barry. But Erika said that she knew the general idea, they were going to mention me and mention the conspiracies, but she was not given that specific, the podcaster, Candace Owens, question. So I think that's...
Whatever you say, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for 1 second. She knew exactly what those questions were going to be, and she was just not properly prepared because she's on a book tour. She doesn't have enough time to prepare for all these different meetings. So she just they give her the questions. They say, oh, prepare, just prepare. And then she's probably just not preparing because she's probably stressed out. So go ahead and blame Barry and say that, it was a media moment. oh, they didn't really give me all the questions. It was just a generalized consensus of like the idea of what we were going to be talking about, but they didn't actually say they were going to ask about you directly. Who else would they? Like, you really have to be kidding me. You guys are in the news as much as you are because of the fact that Candace is talking about you 24/7. Other than that, no one would be talking about you. We would still be talking about the Epstein files. We would still be talking about all the stuff that Trump is doing and all the stuff that JD Vance is trying to do and all these other organizations, this whole cabal and what they're up to. We wouldn't be talking about you guys. How is it that you didn't know that they were going to bring up Candace? I call BS.
It's fair to clear that up. Now, I did not at all recant any of my suspicions, and I understand people disagree with me about particular people at Turning Point USA. I communicated what I communicated in front of the whole world. My skin crawled after I spoke to Terrell Farnsworth, the person who took the cameras down. He lied to me several times. I explained to them, which felt good to have that direct communication, how Terrell lied multiple times, and that I did not understand why he was there that day. They echoed what he said. They defended what he said, that they were trying something new that day, that they typically live stream, which is what Terrell said. They typically live stream, and I said every college event. Well, they said, well, yeah, they live stream the events that are tour stops, but they don't live stream like the outside prove me wrong type events. And that was something that was new, and it required Terrell. And I said, even if that was all real, if that was all true, I still didn't feel good about the conversation that I had with Terrell, and I can't ignore my gut about the many little lies that he told. I thought the video he recorded was weird. I know he comes from a very powerful family. I personally do not trust him. And
too much new stuff at an event during a day in which the night before this man warned his friends and his coworkers that he felt like they were going to take him out the next day. Too many new people, too many new things that they're trying. Isn't that kind of what they tend to do? They tend to create confusion so it can be a lot harder to solve a case, because if everything is buttoned up how it typically always is buttoned up, you don't really have enough room for error. So if they're introducing a ton of new stuff, then it leaves the playing field wide open. So I find that to be quite suspicious. But go ahead, defend this man and say, oh, but because we were doing something new, it required for him to be there. Sure, whatever you say. And the fact that they kept defending him, it's just like, but the man was lying about a bunch of different stuff. What about that stuff? Why are you guys defending a liar? But okay.
Obviously do not like the fact that I said, Tyler Boyer lied about this thing and came up with an excuse and said, well, Terrell was asked to take the camera down. That's the reason, he said on Twitter, because the police wanted him to take it down and secure the footage. And I said, I know that's not true. And they said, well, after all of that, after he took the cameras down, there was a police officer or Fed, whoever it was, that spoke to him and asked him to secure the footage. Well, that makes sense, but it's not a reason for why he took it down immediately.
Going to sit there and say that, oh, the reason why he took the footage down was because the feds wanted to review the footage. And she's like, yeah, no, that was a lie. Like, they did not want to review the footage. Oh, well, actually, when they found out that there was footage and we had already taken it down, they wanted to review it. Oh my God. Okay.
Makes sense that as you're investigating, you're going to say, who's got the footage? Let's lock it down. But it didn't make sense to me that Tyler Boyer lied about it. And I don't trust Tyler Boyer. And that is never going to change. Similarly with Rob McCoy. He makes my skin crawl. I can't explain it. I look at him and he's a bad person, and nobody can make me feel one way or the other about that. I was surprised to learn, and this kind of gets into, I guess, us not knowing the inner workings at Turning Point USA, that Rob McCoy actually does not work with Turning Point USA in any capacity whatsoever. And so him communicating as he has done, like, I'm the pastor, I'm this, I'm that, it's just not real. Like, that is not real. And
that is so weird. Like, this guy literally made it seem like he works with them. He legitimately made it seem like he works with them. So I just find it really funny how you wait so long until you have another major event coming up. You're on a book tour. And like while you're on this book tour, people are like hammering you with questions about what Candace Owens is constantly asking Turning Point USA. And it's like, Erika, why aren't you speaking out? And then now you want to reveal that this guy who's been so boastful about Turning Point USA actually doesn't work with you? What? He's been acting like he's the grandfather of the company. This is Mikey's father. What are we talking about? Now you want to reveal that this man has no association with the company? I don't buy that for a second.
Should know that that's not real. And when he says that, call him out on that separately from Turning Point USA. I was operating under the assumption that he worked for Turning Point USA. And I said, if obviously that's wrong, I'm happy to correct that. But also, what were we to assume when he hit the stage at the memorial and said, I'm America's pastor, and then had the Wikipedia updated and said, well, I'm assuming he had it updated because who else would do that he started Turning Point USA Faith. So I guess to be clear, we were just wrong about that. And I will have a lot more to say about Rob McCoy and where I believe he fits into a lot of things. So I'm not letting up on that. Now, one piece of this where I still don't understand it, and the magic bullet. Okay. Now we all recall what happened. I casually say on the show, hey, I saw the footage. There was no blood. And honestly, when I said it, I didn't process how big of a deal that was with the 30-06. Very quickly, what happens is Andrew Colvett whips up this tweet about what happened with the bullet, and he said he wanted to address all of the discussion that was being had about the online chatter. I'm obviously paraphrasing here. He says, I apologize, it's going to get graphic, but he spoke with the surgeon. The bullet should have gone through. The surgeon then explained that what he's typically seen on these wounds, and basically this was all a miracle. Charlie saved lives, even in death. And the internet lives.
Let's be clear. So, and I've said this a couple different times to people I've talked to about the situation. So at the bottom, it says that this would have taken a moose or two down, and elk, etc. So if it could take a moose out, or two meese or moose, however you say it, mooses, then how in the world would a man as small as, Charlie wasn't the smallest guy. Like, he was pretty tall, but he's not that big. Like, it's not like he's this bulky, buff guy. How could it not have exploded his head like a lot of gun experts have said? Who is Andrew fooling? This man is a joke.
Even in death. And the internet clocked it, this miracle, the healthy bone. His bone was so healthy, and the density was so impressive. Like, this is a quote, by the way. His bone was so healthy. I want to read it. This is allegedly from a surgeon. Quote, his bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. It should have gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. And we were just like, eek.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, how pathetic. What doctor told this man this? There is no way that a doctor that is not a complete quack would say some stuff like that. Maybe the doctor wasn't aware of the bullet that they claimed he got shot with, but he was aware of the bullet that he actually got shot with. That could be what the doctor was actually referring to. And Andrew is using this as a way to manipulate the audience into thinking that, oh, we're talking about the bullet that the FBI claimed he was hit with, even though that's not the bullet that the doctor is actually referring to. Just gross.
That kind of was like the beginning of the WTF, right? I feel like that was kind of the beginning of it. And immediately people in the comments responded to Andrew, and he said, this individual said, this post is so fake as it would violate HIPAA. Like, there's patient privacy. You can't just call up the surgeon. And then Andrew Colvett replies and says, rest assured, I would not have posted without full permission. Now, he said he spoke to the surgeon, and they confirmed that Andrew spoke to the surgeon, but that they did not know that he was going to write that tweet. They did not know that he called up the surgeon. So like it very much came across to be like Andrew was just flying by the seat of his pants.
So he violated HIPAA. Point blank period. So he violated HIPAA. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Like he was just flying dark on it. And I was like, that seems very strange to me, because why would a surgeon do that? Like the first thing the surgeon should say is, I can't speak to you. I don't even know, in theory, Andrew wasn't even there when Charlie died. I don't even know why the surgeon even knows this guy, actually. Maybe he hung around after, but Andrew was not one of the people that got into the hospital or anything like that. So this is quite literally the PR guy who's calling the surgeon. And so that just seems very inappropriate for a person to do, period. And I would say it was kind of the beginning, but that was what I got from that. Now, obviously, we discussed the security. I brought up Brian Harpole, this interview with Sean Ryan, and I think we can believe Turning Point when they say that they did not approve of this. They had no idea he was going on Sean Ryan. I think that's pretty clear. I don't believe he works there anymore. So that was kind of him.
Yeah, the dude completely lied, and everything that he lied about was so disgusting. So I'm sure that after Candace's last, I think it was an episode or two ago, when she brought this mysterious guy who ended up witnessing this security guard lead at this secret military base in Arizona the day of or the day before the event, and they were having some secret meeting. I'm sure right after that, they probably fired him. Because they're like, oh my God, you are just making this a little bit too sloppy. When did they fire that man? Because if they fired him after Candace did that episode, it's like, okay, they're hiding something.
Just getting out there and perhaps trying to rescue his own reputation. And I think that only made his reputation worse, actually, because people rightfully sensed that he wasn't telling the truth in that interview, that he was being cagey, that he was saying things that didn't make any sense. Again, you constantly have these people that believe, like Brian Harpole, that with enough performance, he can sit down and you're just going to convince people that this is real. And this is just a different time. Like I said, these TikTokers are out of control. They will check you in 4 seconds. Okay. Things that the biggest piece of this that I want to communicate, and that I did communicate to them, and I hope that they took me seriously on this, or rather that they take my strong advice on this. I said, one of the reasons why I really want to sit down is because I want to walk out of here and feel confident saying to my audience, hey, like, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. Like, that more will come out, but you can take it from me that this is what happened. I was looking to achieve that because there's been a lot of signaling from various people, some people who are experts, some people who have been involved in cases, that there's obviously going to be stuff that the public does not have access to. And so it is at least plausible that they have seen very clear footage that we've been asking for of Tyler Robinson getting up there and taking the shot. Like, they have access to UVU camera. So I was hoping to hear that. And I said that I want to hear why people feel so confident at Turning Point USA that Tyler Robinson is the guy. And at this point, they elected to call the lawyer, like, their lawyer who is involved in this case, one of the lawyers that's involved in this case. There's always a team of lawyers, especially for something like this. And what I got from the lawyer did not make me feel that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. It did not make me feel confident that he didn't or did shoot Charlie Kirk. I was
Banana Republic. That's all I got to say. Banana Republic.
very surprised by this. He spoke a very long time. I asked, can you share with me what it is? And I said, when you share this with me, I will not say what that thing is. If we want to protect the integrity of the case, I'm not going to, if you say, we've got the footage of him taking a shot, I promise I won't say that to the audience, but I will communicate to them that you have something that is solid. And no, to the exact contrary, this guy effectively said, not effectively, he said that they have nothing but the affidavit. Okay, so what we have seen is what they have.
Oh my gosh. They have nothing but the affidavit. What? I don't even know if I know what that means. Like, what affidavit? Jesus Christ.
What is being discussed publicly, you are this whole like non-expert problem with like, well, you don't know. It's like what you read, his messages that don't have any dates on it, Tyler Robinson writing out everything and the clean alibi. That's what they have. And what he...
Wow. So all of the fake stuff that the FBI created for the case, or whomever created for the case. What? All of the stuff that everyone has at this point has debunked and or said that they know for a fact that that stuff is fake. That's all you have? And you guys are going to possibly give this kid or this man the death penalty or pin this on him, and you really don't have full evidence, like actual legible evidence.
Explained to me was that that's the affidavit stage. That's where it's at. And then what takes place now is the investigation is ongoing, right? So right now they're looking for more information. And once investigators, they could very well have obviously footage. And that is why they might feel that, oh, we're definitely gonna get this prosecution. But the reality is they don't actually share that information with the victim. They don't share that information with Erika. They don't, in this part of the process, they will not know what investigators have discovered. This is what the lawyer told me until May. Okay.
Until May of next year? What the hell is going on? Okay. So based off of what it sounds like she's saying at this moment, that whatever is going to happen moving forward, i.e. the investigation, which if you've been paying attention, Kash Patel sounds like this thing is wrapped up and one and done. The only reason why we're even still talking about this is because of Candace. And based off of how Erika was acting not that long ago, she made it seem like we found our guy. So I'm confused. Like, at what point were they going to say that the investigation is actually ongoing? And Kash Patel, he gives off the weirdest vibes. Like, I don't know what is wrong with that dude. I do not know what is wrong with that man. But like, he does not give off the vibes of we're actually still investigating. This man is not investigating this case. Like, I don't know who's still on it, but he's been really giving off the vibe that we got our guy. So I don't really know what's going on here, but this is weird.
They have not seen anything that you have not seen, is what I want you to know. So with that in mind, I'm sitting here going, why are you signaling? Why do I feel like the public's being gaslit on this? There's been nothing that's convincing. There are so many commentators who have gone out and said to you, it's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. The text messages that don't have a date, that don't even sound real, that's overwhelming. That to me feels really fake and gay. I really do want to say that to every commentator that is out there trying to tell the public and insisting that if you say it enough times it'll become real, you're actually just being dishonest. And I offered that a more honest way to communicate would be to say, we think he's involved. We feel strongly. I've said that. I think he's involved. We are very hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to get that concrete thing. And that's where we're at right now. That's just the stage that we are at. That is not what we are getting from them. That is like, I just feel like that's really important to let you guys know. Let the gaslighting stop. They have what you have, okay? There is nothing else. They are in an investigative stage. Erika has been named as the victim. They will know more in this May hearing, which is the probable cause hearing. That's what the lawyer told me. It's a probable cause hearing. And that's when they will see the evidence. That's when they get to present the evidence, why they are going to stand there before a judge and be like, yes, we need to move this forward. It's not just an affidavit. We're not pulling together scraps. We have concrete evidence. Until then, okay, until we all get on the same page and understand what else they have, I am very confident stating the opposite of all of my, I guess, well-paid peers, in that I don't believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. And what I also said to them was, and I said this in front of the lawyer, because I don't know why I'm like this. I was like, you might need a new lawyer. I was like, because this person's trying to sell to you that this is solid. One of the rules that me and my husband have is that if you have a lawyer that tells you like you're 100% going to win, it's very clear that you're going to win, you need a new lawyer. Okay, that's a cheerleader. That's not a lawyer. A lawyer, even if you should 100% win, should be telling you the risks here. I feel good about this case. Like, let me talk real to you. I feel good about this case, but here's where things could go wrong. I want you to understand those risks that are involved. We don't have this yet. We don't have that yet. And especially given what I told them, which is your lawyers, or the investigators rather, not their lawyers, because they're not the ones investigating. It's the state of Utah that's investigating. They have not called the one solitary person, as I told you guys, who filmed as he was on the roof. Remember the guy that's like, oh, there's somebody on the roof, and he sees him crouched down. I said, I spoke to that person, and his testimony would be devastating to your prosecution. He saw the person on the roof. He filmed the person on the roof at 12:23 p.m. and he did not see that person take the shot. And this is not some random student. This is a guy who trains people to shoot guns at a range. He knows guns, okay? He said what he saw was a smaller gun. He said that this person was dressed in black tactical gear and there was no recoil. That's devastating. That would be devastating to the prosecution. And yet, investigators haven't reached out. Now, they offered back, well,
yeah, they're not going to reach out because of the fact that they know that it's going to be devastating to the prosecution. So there is no way that they're going to reach out to that guy. They don't want to hear from anyone that was at the campus that day. That's why they haven't reached out to any of the students and tried to collect videos and pictures or anything. That's why they haven't done that. And if they have done it and they're just not sharing it, then it's going to be interesting in May to see what evidence that they've collected over this entire time. But to be honest, I don't believe them at all. I don't think they're going to reach out to anyone because they already know who did it.
Maybe they haven't reached out because they have an even clearer video. And that's true. That's actually a good rebuttal. They're like, we don't even have to talk to this guy because the video will speak for itself. And we saw what we saw. Okay, but wouldn't you still want to speak to the other guy so you could prepare? I don't know, to question him something. I don't like that this investigation is going on, and I feel as though I spoke to more people than they have. Both of the people who filmed videos that day told me that they weren't reached out to. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand the confidence, I guess, is the best way to say this. I told them I do not understand the confidence that is happening. Now, another really big thing that happened was they brought me Mikey's call logs, okay? They brought me Mikey's call logs, and that is why I said this was a productive meeting. There is no other way to say it. I asked every question, and they came with paperwork to show and to answer and to explain certain...
And hopefully those call logs weren't doctored, but we'll see.
Certain things. Also, which was, I thought, actually kind of sweet, that I guess I did on the previous show. I was like kind of looking at things into Mikey and I couldn't find him. And someone said, I think Mikey's not his like real name. Like they thought it was his middle name actually. And I just assumed, okay, well maybe he's using his middle name and that's why I can't find him. But Mikey really wants you guys to know that is his real name. And it is his real name. I found out shortly thereafter that they were confusing his middle name with, they thought it was switched. That Michael is his real name, just to clarify that, because I realized I actually didn't go back and clarify that. But Mikey's call logs, big piece of this, okay? I'm going to, I guess, jog your memory on what Blake said about Mikey that day, and then I'll tell you what actually happened, because I don't think Blake has that great of a memory. Okay, take a listen.
So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't...
I'm sorry. Blake needs to be more worried about cutting the rest of that damn hair off, that 5 o'clock shadow he has. Like, I don't know why this man is so determined to look like he's 80 years old. What be going through these people's heads? Cut the 5 o'clock shadow, sir. Sir, please, cut it. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the video.
Been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erika. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erika. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that is...
You can't disclose it, sir, because he didn't call Erika. Not in the order in which you're stating it. So, of course you can't disclose it because he wasn't talking to her. Not in like how you're saying it was. So, like, come on, man. That's how you're able to get away with lying. You cover it up by saying things like that.
It's happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erika. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him.
Okay, so that's just not right. And so when he says...
Another thing I find so funny is how these men are constantly talking about what Mikey said and what Mikey did, but not once have Mikey come out and said any of this stuff himself. Where is this dude? Why is he so afraid to come out and speak on his own behalf? Everyone keeps speaking on this man's behalf. Why can't Mikey come out and just say what the hell happened out of his own mouth? Blake is always talking on behalf of this guy. What is going on? I just always thought that was so weird.
I might be imagining this for I'll never forget, followed by I might be imagining this, probably means that maybe you forgot and like you really could be imagining. Now, for me personally, I think the normal physiological response in these high adrenaline situations for most people is you lock in. They're literally your body, when it goes through something, when it's terrified and it's going through like sort of like you are really paying attention to details. We've learned about this many times over in health class growing up. This is why they talk about that fight or flight response, and quite literally there's stuff happening to your body. And so there's a lot of details here that are just not accurate. And the one that surprised me the most about these call logs is I certainly feel that we were given the impression over and over and over again that the first person Mikey called was Erika, right? He called Erika. We were told this by many people also that he trained, like he almost like went to a camp and trained, and Charlie was like, 1, 2, 3, go, and like fast, 1, 2, 3, go. That's why he walked away. 1, 2, 3, go, and just told him, this is what the first thing you do is. Well, he didn't do that. Actually, the first person he called was his wife. He called Elizabeth McCoy, and then he stayed on the phone with his wife for 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, he three-wayed Erika 3 minutes after the shot went off. And then he three-ways his father. And then he three-ways a third person who I am not interested in mentioning because it's not relevant. This is Danny McCoy, by the way, is his brother that's in the military, but that's before the shot goes off. Charlie Kirk shot goes off. I have that in detail. Charlie's brought to security. Mikey McCoy calls his wife. They will stay on the phone for 10 minutes. Okay. In that same minute, because we know this, because Blake Neff has given us his call log to his mother, Blake Neff called his mom. His call with his mother lasted 45 seconds. So we're assuming it went to 12:25. It very well could have stayed in 12:24, depending on the millisecond. Blake Neff ends that phone call with his mother. Mikey McCoy, after the phone call with his mother ends, adds Erika to the phone. Okay, so that when he was recapping and he's like, oh, his lips quivering and he's like, I got to call Erika. And he's like, and then I called my mom. That's not right. That's just not right. Okay, Mikey called Erika after Blake Neff ended that phone call with his mother. If call logs are to be believed above, human testimony. Mikey McCoy then drops Erika from the phone call 2 minutes later, and then he adds his father to the phone call. Again, he is this entire time on the phone with his wife, okay? And then Mikey McCoy ends his phone call with his father. He does call another person who I'm not mentioning because it's just not relevant to anything, not a character in the story, rather. And then he ends the phone call with his wife, and a minute later, his brother calls him back and they stay on the phone for 10 minutes. I did not get this from everybody speaking about this Mikey McCoy call log. I know that you guys did not get this. I did.
This man called the entire world. And based off of how Blake was talking about it, you would think that he only called Erika and then called his dad. And that was it. But this man was he was literally calling everybody from Mickey Mouse all the way to Kim Jong-un. He got everybody on that phone call that day. And it's just like, good gracious alive. I get it though. Because I know for me, if my husband was in a situation like that, he would for sure have me on the phone the entire time. So I totally understand why he kept his wife on the phone, probably for moral support. I don't know why they couldn't just confirm this a while ago. Why sit there and act so suspicious and like, why? It's so weird. And then they just kept saying, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. We know for a fact that this is what happened. Well, if Erika got the call logs from Mikey, hopefully they weren't doctored. And hopefully this copy that she's showing us right here wasn't the copy that they gave her. Hopefully it was actually the phone company's copy, straight from the phone company itself, so they can actually see, oh, we went straight to T-Mobile and we printed it out, depending on what phone company he has. So hopefully it was like a legitimate copy of his phone records, but it's so weird that they would try to keep something like that secret.
Not get this. I don't know why she was disappeared from this. Like, you could go, look, the wife wants privacy. No, she was like, main stage at the memorial, has been, I would say very involved in a lot of this kind of, I think it's very close that she's close with Erika. They went on the vacation together. So I don't get this disappearing act. I found that to be like, okay, but they were forthcoming with it. That feels good. That feels good, guys. Like, wow, we don't have to guess. Now we have solid answers. And like I said, when you come out and give solid answers and you're not.
I'm so sorry. That's not enough. As much BS that has been going on for the last 2 months, that is not enough to go off of, like, at all. So I get what you're saying, but like, again, it's the energy of like, oh, well, we got some answers. So like, yay, we're making progress. And like, this is really good. Like, you're making the audience feel like you're backing down. And everything that you've said has only confirmed how much they have been lying. Damn near everything that you stated, it confirms that they lied. So the energy isn't matching the situation. And the live comments on this video was insane. It was over 300,000 people that was on the live stream. And the comments were flying to the moon. And of course, there was lots of trolls and lots of bots in there. But in between it, it's kind of like, hey, we hope that you're not going to sell out. We hope that you're not going to back down and like allow this to cause you to slow down your investigation or back off the investigation, right? Because it only gets worse. It legitimately gets worse.
Weird and calling people names and saying all this stuff. It allows people to go, okay, I feel a bit more like we can trust this process because we have communication. That's the reality. And so I wanted to update you with that. Also, another thing that really, I think, surprised them and I think surprised me is getting back to this Hamptons retreat. The thing about the Hamptons retreat, and I communicated this with them, that makes me so uncomfortable is how many little lies were told. I think I've been clear about that. Like, Seth Dillon definitively pressed Charlie at this event. Now, whether it was in a hypothetical, which it was in a hypothetical, but he got fired up in the hypothetical of Charlie discussing potentially tweeting something against Bibi Netanyahu, it did lead to this firecracker moment. Again, this is one of those things where I go, why am I always being hung out to dry for telling people the truth? Especially when I wasn't going, oh, well, Seth Dillon killed Charlie Kirk. I just, like, this happened. It factually happened. And yet everybody's kind of putting out these weird statements and they're not being honest in them. And I was saying to them, that made me feel really weird. And, I would love to know more and about this Bibi Netanyahu offer to fund Turning Point to the next level. At which point, Erika said she was not aware of that happening. It is obviously totally possible that that was kept in the business lane of Turning Point USA, but I'm certain, I said.
Well, she probably wasn't aware of it because that happened before she came in as acting CEO. Unless there was an incident that took place after that where Bibi tried to come in again and offer funding. But if we're referring the situation where Charlie was approached by Bibi to give funding to Turning Point USA, I mean, Erika wasn't actively working with them at the time, from my knowledge. So, I mean, I can understand why she's just like, oh, I wasn't aware of that. Hey, Candace has said it so many times. You have become very much so aware of it over the last couple of months. So it's just the copying and the pleading and saying, oh, I'm not aware. I wasn't aware. It's been 2 months that this woman has been saying all of these things that she's now approaching you with directly. And you're still saying, oh, I wasn't aware. I'm sure your team told you. I'm sure somebody told you. I'm sure your mama told you.
I am absolutely certain that I did not get this from an obscure source that Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level. And it was part of my frustration with that sit down with Alex Clark, where Andrew said, oh, there was not $150 million. That's made up. You know, I told them, Andrew Colvett was my source. Andrew Colvett told me verbatim that Bibi Netanyahu offered to take Turning Point to the next level and that
Andrew
Charlie turned that money down.
His mouth.
So I said there's a bit of a predicament when I'm being like lambasted by all of these voices and people that are attacking me and these paid campaigns. And when I say paid, yes, okay, actually have the names of people. Different ways they're being paid. Some are being paid by PR firms. Too many are being paid by Prager University, which is upsetting to me because I know Marissa and it's just dirty. But it's especially crazy when people are calling it a conspiracy when I share things that are told to me from the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. Okay, that's weird. And yes, they were forthcoming and nobody's ever denied this. So this was not on our list of lies about the fact that Bibi Netanyahu did call him. Okay, that did happen. Bibi shared that, by the way. Our source for that could have just as well been Bibi Netanyahu. And not a lot of clarity on, I don't know, why some people think he didn't make this offer and why definitively 3 different sources who would have knowledge of this confirmed to me that Bibi Netanyahu did indeed make this offer. I never said $150 million ever, not once on the show. I wouldn't have even said that, by the way. If you said take Turning Point to the next level, I actually would have assumed it was more, if I'm being honest. That's a hefty offer and it leads to a lot of questions. So there was not a lot of clarity there. Lastly, I want to add, of course, I was locked in this meeting when people on live were another round of debunking the Egyptian planes. I want to be very clear. We discussed the Egyptian planes and I have since worked on an incredible document about the Egyptian planes, which we are going to put up on our website because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erika had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website, because I'm certain that these Egyptian planes are incredibly shady and that they were in fact.
I'm sorry. If she's referring to anything regarding what she said about those planes, it was very plain and clear that she wasn't saying that these were all the locations in which that's where Erika was, or they were directly following her every single time. But she did mention that about 68 to 69 of those particular drop points or stopping points correlated with Erika Kirks' location. That's what she said. She never said that any of those locations were directly Erika Kirk and where she was. She just said no, across all of these different locations, they were either following Erika Kirk. A lot of them correlate with following Erika Kirk more so than they were following Charlie himself. But then you have a bunch of other stopping points and drop off and pickup points in which the planes landed, not just here in America, but then also in other countries. So, and when they came online. So I'm so confused as to how people are always so quick to mess up what people are saying. And it's like, if they messed it up, I totally understand, because they don't want for anyone to have a clear understanding about what she's saying. But if the audience is purposefully messing it up and they want to actually find out the truth, like, please just stop it, you guys. Like, it's all about critical listening skills. She was very clear in how she was stating what was on that document in multiple episodes. So this is what happens when people are watching or being nosy about these types of situations and you know, investigations that these YouTubers are doing, but they don't actually watch the whole thing. They just watch bits and pieces, and then they go and make commentary because they're monetized. So it's all about just getting content out there as quickly as possible. They don't want to do a thorough investigation or a thorough walkthrough of anything. So I could totally understand how someone got that messed up. But it's nice that she's making it into an interactive chart that people can kind of go on and play with.
Tracking Turning Point USA, Faith, broader events. Of course, Erika was at some of them. Charlie was at some of them. But it is the pattern here is undeniable. So let the naysayers and people make videos trying to, fifth round debunk these planes. I also want to say to you that I feel very confident that I know why these planes have caused such panic. And it is because there is overwhelming evidence that these planes regularly fly in and out of Israel. And I'm going to present that evidence tomorrow. I say that strongly. This is I feel very confident saying these Egyptian planes are flying in and out. And notice I'm saying planes because once I was able to connect people that were on those planes onto other Egyptian planes, I was able to realize that these planes are flying in and out of Israel and turning their transponder off each time that they do it. That is now makes perfect sense of why there was this mass panic, right? It's not exactly like we have a strong Egyptian lobby in the United States. Not like we're like, whoa, well, those darn Egyptians again are trying to get TikTok censored. I mean, every person in the game, Barry, acting. Well, these are the usual suspects that act if something is a threat to Israel, okay? Which is, they should have just been forthcoming, pretended that it was changing apart. Instead, they're trying to gaslight us, and they're actually, frankly, just pissing me off. So I became locked in on these Egyptian planes because that's how I am, okay? You keep pushing me and keep pushing me, I will become an expert on these planes. I'll learn how to build an Egyptian plane. And the reality is, like I said, tomorrow I will show you how these planes tie back to Israel. And there's no disproving this. So, okay, so a couple of things I want to say. First and foremost, I just got a live update that I thought it was Danny McCoy on the call log. I should totally correct that, and I will correct that, and we'll be sure to trim it in post here. But it is not Danny McCoy. It is Danny, another one of Charlie's assistants. So I will correct that. Please correct that if you're going to make videos. Not Danny McCoy that called him and then called him after. That is another assistant of Charlie's. So we want to be accurate. I don't know why I assumed it was Danny McCoy in my head. I may have done that. Okay, another thing. You guys may have been noticing that we are getting into this weird space where they seem to be almost writing like Candace Owens fan fiction. I can't even reply to things, and a lot of you sense that this was because we were getting close. I agree. I fully agree that these attacks, which have grown hysterical, like I can't even begin to tell you the conversations between me and my PR person. I'm like, there's nothing to respond to. I mean, there's not even one sentence of this that is true. Case in point, by the way, New York Post does this article today. We were actually laughing, okay? Like, inside Candace Owens' sadistic and dangerous world, monetizing baseless conspiracies. This is after, by the way, they changed my husband's Wikipedia and said that he was a Qatari, like he had a Qatari passport or citizenship. I don't think my husband's ever even flown over Qatar. I could be wrong, but I know he's never been to Qatar. I don't think he's ever flown over Qatar. And they're just making it up, and then they make it trend no matter what it is. And I'm like, this is happening. It's like a psychological operation because they're trying to keep us.
That is so weird. Like, why do people do stuff like that? And it's like, that's how you know this is like next level, because they changed that man's Wikipedia. Seriously? he has came out and spoke about his background and where he's from and everything. The man is from London. I think he's from London, or he's from somewhere in England. Okay, so it's just like, what? We we all know that he's not Qatari. Like, what? Oh gosh.
Constantly responding as opposed to focusing on our investigation, which is why I spent this weekend and I just kept down on the Egyptian plains, because it's completely crazy. And when you see a media storm like this, it can only be happening because Zionists are locking arms and going attack, because they by and large control the media. They just do. Okay, one way or the other, Zionists control the empire medias, and they are scared about something in this investigation. We've noticed that from the very beginning. So they wrote in this article, the New York Post, just to give you an example of how insane this is. They said they had an inside source that told them that while I was at the Daily Wire, I just fought with people from the very source that in my first week, I threw my car keys at a producer and expected them to park my car. That sentence genuinely made me laugh so hard, because I never once in the entire time that I worked for the Daily Wire did I ever drive my car to work. Okay, I just didn't. They had a driver that took me there. So I don't know why I would suddenly take the driver's keys and then throw it at somebody, but quite literally, I never drove the Daily Wire. So it's just, when I say fan fiction, I'm like, this is fan fiction. Secondly, they say I did that to a producer and that I demanded others do my research. Could not be further from the truth. I have always done my own shows. I can't read a script. I riff my shows. I think that's pretty obvious. That I demanded a huge studio, attempted to use their PR firm to get the cover of People magazine, like full fan fiction. There's not even a shred. I don't even think we ever had a conversation about People magazine, because that would not be a normal outlet for any conservatives. That I wanted to be on the cover of People is insane. And they said that their sources also said that, like, my team hated me. My team came with me when I got fired. My whole team's here. So I was just going, okay, what is happening here? Why are we talking about Qatar? Why are they making these things up? And I have come to the same conclusion as you. It is because we are dangerously close to something. I think we have to keep pushing on the Huachuca Air Base, which we are doing. And tomorrow we are going to get back into the investigation. We're just going to ignore the noise because, as I have said and as I have maintained, I believe that Charlie was betrayed by people that are close to him. And
it's been plain and obvious that that is clearly the case, because the amount of lies, the amount of moving stuff around, switching up what people are saying, just the avoidance in itself. I mean, it's just so weird. If you don't have nothing to hide, why are you guys avoiding her so much? Why are you guys avoiding answering basic questions from your own followers? It's very weird. So they're definitely shaking in their boots, because she's clearly getting close to what the real situation is. And the people putting out, I mean, for God's sakes, when she went on Piers Morgan earlier this year, I think it was earlier this year or sometime towards the end of last year, and she was talking about how she felt about the Gaza war and how she felt like, it was genocide and all those things like that. And they literally got her channel taken down 2 different times. So it's no, I totally believe that they're definitely paying high level news organizations to put out false information. It's just so weird, the stuff that these people do.
I asked that question in the meeting. I'm like, okay, if we can agree that everyone around, I was like, I know there are people at Turning Point, they're not good people, right? And it's feasible that people, if they have addictions, that they you can definitively get yourself in a scenario where you are willing to sell somebody out. This is a massive organization. How can we so confidently state that nobody had anything to do here, to do with anything here? And I think that one of the things that Erika was like, well, I'm not a feminist, and I didn't want the vibe of that, which I think it did come across like a bit of a feminist, to say this is all my family. I'm like, how could this all be your family? I know people in this family and they're not good people. I wouldn't even do that with my own family. Okay. I got people in my family, like we all do, who who aren't exactly walking a straight arrow in life. And yeah, so I've communicated that. I have not changed my position on that. I am not going to stop researching the characters in this that I don't feel good about. But further to sort of them just creating and making things up, Tim Pool has now gone out and extraordinarily claimed that I have the same security.
I don't think that that's him. Is that Tim Pool? I don't think that's him. That is hilarious. That is so funny. When I say this man is going to be so pissed, oh my God. I don't know what is wrong with that psychopath, but like he has been out to get Candace, and this is hilarious.
Security as Charlie Kirk, and that I'm a fraud, and that actually I have the exact same security. You will recall that Tim just said a week ago that I have no security. Okay, this is Tim Pool a week ago.
She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you told me? She has no security. She doesn't deal with the we have to deal with. She's a piece of
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a...
So she doesn't have security to then immediately change up what he says. Oh, well, she has the fat guy in the wall. So you clearly knew that before you said what you said. Oh my God, this guy is despicable.
Suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two no one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy. And she doesn't give a about her security.
So that was like Tim last Monday. This is Tim who said I had no security except for one fat guy, which I told you was not true. Now he's saying this. Take a listen.
Okay. I'll say things that I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to say, 'cause I always get super heated on this. Candace Owens has the same security team as Turning Point and Charlie Kirk did. She's lying. She has the same security people.
This guy is retarded. Like, I am legitimately convinced that this man has worms for brains. Like, what is wrong with this dude? Like, how do you go from saying something so crazy as to what you said earlier and then threw it on your co-host to say, this is exactly what you told me, to then now, oh, she has the same exact security as Turning Point USA. What the hell does that even mean? What does that even mean? Like, they can't oversee her at the same time as they oversee people at Turning Point USA, because that's a pretty big organization. So it's just like she would have to have her own detail because she's nowhere near Arizona. Oh my God. Like, this guy, he makes me sick.
Digging into this, I've been meeting with people and talking with them, and I shouldn't say too
Who you been meeting with? Who have you been meeting with? This man is such a liar.
much because there's more that's going to be coming out soon, because rest assured, people are filing legal paperwork against her. Candace has the same security team, or has used the same security companies and the same security personnel as Charlie and Erika did. So when she comes out and is questioning them, she is lying outright. Now, I've invited many of these people to come on. We'll see what happens. We'll see when they can. The issue is, the moment Candace goes on her show to millions of people and lies, litigation begins. And what happens when litigation begins? People don't do interviews about it. She is exploiting this, and she knows she is, to keep people wrapped up in this insanity.
He got the nerve to be talking about someone's exploiting something. This man can't keep this woman's name out of his mouth to save his life. I mean, for God's sakes, Jesus, this man makes me itch. It's like he's constantly been going on these crazy rants about how much he hates her, how despicable she is, how much of a bitch she is. And it's just like, dude, what is wrong with you? And it's like, you know, she's not going to match your energy. And that's the reason why he does that. He's literally just bullying her. And it's like, I wonder if he would do that to a guy. Like, I wonder if he would be this crazy with a guy that's doing this type of investigating that doesn't come off as like a punk. Like, the guy he's lost his mind.
Tim versus Tim, undefeated. And what I will also say is that's all a lie. It's almost like they have just sent a call like they're getting too close and just said, I don't care what you write. I don't care if it's complete fiction. Make it believable. Say her husband beats her. Say her, like it's coming after my husband. They're coming after me and they're making stuff up. I have never employed the same security team as Charlie Kirk ever. We went our separate ways early, but actually there was like, it's obviously been publicized before he had Schaefer Security, and Schaefer Security, which was run by Greg Schaefer, who has issued a public statement. They had Dan Flood and Brian Harpool working for them initially. I told Charlie I did not like the security apparatus. I got my own security separate from Charlie from the very beginning. Okay. That's a fact. It just is a fact. There's no way to undo that fact. Trying to do this strategy of you're going to get sued is just threatening somebody. If there was any truth to that, you can't just file legal paperwork. You have to send a cease and desist. You have to say, something you said on your show was untrue. Can you please correct this? Okay. And if I ignore that, as I did with Brigitte, because I told the truth, as I did with Kim Clasey, because I told the truth, then you have the grounds to file something. We have received no cease and desist from Charlie's Security whatsoever. Over what? I mean, the audacity that you're filing a lawsuit and someone got murdered on your watch because I accurately said that the Brian Harpool, the message he showed belonged to Dan Flood. It did. And that they didn't do a walkthrough on that day. They didn't. Like, and if something I'm getting wrong and you'd like to show me that actually you did, send it over. We're only interested in getting to the truth. And we're not getting it. We're certainly not expecting to get it from Tim Pool. That is crazy. That's just crazy town. But I do think that is right now the Zionist strategy. And that's why I want to encourage you guys to stay focused. Huachuca, which we're going to have a lot on tomorrow, because there is something there. And I think that caused a panic, as well as the Egyptian planes, which I am telling you go back, relate to Israel. And I will be able to prove that tomorrow for all of the naysayers. And again, it's only because this is how they act. If they always overreact, and then it lets us know that we are close. They are like an alarm. They are just an alarm. Something else that I wanted to show you, by the way, I thought we were not supposed to be doing live streams while we were speaking, but Turning Point.
I wanted to speak about this situation because my conclusion of this entire thing is that Erika Kirk definitely set her up. This was a pure distraction. They locked her in a 4.5-hour meeting to give Turning Point USA an opportunity to live stream that they were supposed to have canceled. So in order to avoid Candace Owens being able to get on that live stream and ask some questions directly, Erika out of nowhere was just like, oh, let's have a meeting, but we have to have it private. I'm trying to figure out how in the world did Candace not get a notice from her team or notification from her team stating that Turning Point USA was going live? And why didn't she end that meeting almost immediately? Because my thing is this: if I was in Candace's position and I was very serious about all of this, I'm not here to play games with you. I know that you're new to this whole life and everything like that, being the CEO, kind of running everything. But I have been doing this alongside, just like your husband, the entire time he's been doing it. Like, we literally got into the game with each other. So the fact that this woman just played in her face and made her look like a dummy, because they legitimately went on there and was talking about some very damning information that I'm sure should have been left for the court hearing. But God forbid these guys do anything right. And you can't tell me that Erika had no awareness that this was happening. Because based off of all of them, especially from Andrew and Blake, she greenlights everything. So how do you explain this, Erika? How do you explain this? But let's get into what exactly Candace is going to bring up.
I guess has their daily show, but that I didn't feel like that was communicated to me. It felt like a ceasefire and then it got violated. But they had an interesting conversation on their show yesterday, on the Charlie Kirk show, about this trial, the upcoming trial, about Tyler Robinson. And here is what they had to say. Take a listen.
So this is straight from the charging document. It says Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a, quote, stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. And when you see how easy that rooftop access is, you start to kind of put one and one together, and you realize that Robinson had a plan that he was going to ultimately take advantage of. And he obviously knew how easy it was to get up to that rooftop, which is terrifying.
It really is. And look, one of the other things that's being pushed around for a long time was that, TPUSA, both the local chapter and you guys, didn't advertise this event till a couple days prior to. Now, the insinuation there is that doesn't give Tyler enough time to plan for this. And what we found out with a little bit of, 20, not even 5 minutes of Googling and looking.
Yeah.
Look, you guys had already put out on your website as early as August 27th. So we have at least almost a full 2 weeks prior to this, that not only the time of the event, but the location, the exact location of the UVU courtyard. So when you have over 10 days of planning, and it sounds like that Tyler already was familiar with the campus to begin with, like a lot of the mystery of this starts to go out the window, and it starts to really conform with what is exactly being proposed by the state of Utah and the FBI in the charging documents.
Yeah, and
There is lots to unpack here. Let's start off with Andrew. Why are you reading that? And then also, why are you giving your perspective on how clearly this is blatant evidence that he was prepared and he knew what he was doing, and it must have been him because of what his mom said? Did anyone ever hear that come out of his mom's mouth? Like, I'm confused. Did his mother ever actually testify and confirm, and that it was legitimately confirmed that she testified and these were words that came out of her mouth? And didn't Erika Kirk late last week state that this entire investigation that Candace is doing, the reason why she hasn't spoken up and had any meetings with Candace is because she doesn't want to taint the jury pool? But then Turning Point USA goes live while you're in a meeting with Candace, which that was never supposed to happen, and they're doing stuff like this. How is that not contributing to tainting the jury pool? Please explain that. And this is exactly why I'm saying, and why I truly believe that they tried to checkmate Candace by locking her into one situation to avoid Turning Point USA having to deal with her directly. Now all of a sudden, Erika wants to speak. She wants it to be private, and then this happens. And they're saying all this wild stuff, uninterrupted, by the way. And then this guy pointing out the fact that, clearly people don't know what they're talking about because they're making claims that, the event wasn't publicized until a couple days before the actual event. But on you guys' website, it was clearly publicized way before that. Hey, if you have ever been in website development, you do realize that you can update websites, right? To say whatever you want them to say. Like, it's very easy to do that, especially if you know how to manipulate the code. Whoever said that going into a website's interface could not be manipulated? You can change dates. You can put stuff on your website and make it whatever date you want to make it, and make it look like it was already there the entire time. So it's just like, what is this guy even talking about? And it's like, I find it quite ironic how now these imbeciles know how to live stream people into their live stream. Oh, what do you know? Because they were definitely making it seem like it was so impossible. Like, they were just making it seem like it was an absurd idea to stream Candace into the live stream so that they can have a conversation. And within this, they have someone else there, and they think that they're funny by having this guy there, and he has all those guns behind him. Like, what are you guys, like, just because he has guns behind him doesn't make him an expert in anything that he's saying. So this guy has guns behind him, and then you're speaking of Tyler Robinson being the one to have committed the murder, and somehow, some way, is that supposed to like put a message in our psyche that, oh, they must be telling the truth? These guys are full of it.
We can attest, Andrew Cipher, who's our head of field, Charlie sometimes throw the events out, 7-10 days in advance. If something opened up in his schedule, he would be able to do these outdoor events, a pretty quick turn.
Okay, so listen to what he said. I'm about to go back. And this is how liars end up like covering up a lie just in case they get caught out on it. So this guy says
with what is exactly being proposed by the state of Utah and the FBI in the charging documents.
Yeah, and we can attest, Andrew Cipher, who's our head of field, Charlie sometimes throw the events out, 7-10 days in advance. If something opened up in his schedule, he would be able to do these outdoor events, a pretty quick turn. And so those whole that whole theory kind of goes out the window.
So that right there lets you know that, oh, just in case someone has evidence that we actually did post it about a week to a couple days in advance, just in case someone does have evidence that we actually did that and that that's true, let me go ahead and put a little nugget out there to say that, yeah, just in case, like, if anything, if any space ever popped up in Charlie's schedule, we could like quickly spin up an event. Like, are you serious? I'm sorry. I'm really good at being able to sniff between people's lies. So that to me just was a cover up move, because if you guys had announced it a month, 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior and not 5 days prior, then why did you need to say that? Because you did, in fact, probably post it a couple days before the actual event.
So unless I am mistaken, and I am not perfect, but I do feel like we worked really hard to see when this location was first revealed. The first time that we found that the courtyard was mentioned, because Charlie's speaking at events, so your assumption would be they're inside, right? You have no idea where it is. So it's not like you can see whether you have a shot to the courtyard unless you know Charlie's speaking in the courtyard. The earliest that we found that was on September 2nd. The local media mentioned on KMYU that Charlie was speaking at UVU in the courtyard. Okay, that's the first time that we found this. If I am wrong, please tag me, because what he's referring to on August 27th that happened, which we have on our timeline as well, and this is why I love a timeline, is that TPUSA, UVU, and the local BYU chapter shared a graphic announcing that Charlie was coming to UVU, but there were absolutely no location details mentioned. So that actually does shred the idea that he could have practically gone and scaled rooftops before September 2nd. That's the first public mention, is September 2nd. So they announced the event on August 27th, as he says, no location details. And then on September 2nd, there are location details provided by local media for the first time. Prove me wrong, okay? Prove me wrong if I'm inaccurate, because I do think that we were thorough on that. I will update my timeline. If not, it does then beg the question, surely they must have footage after September 2nd of him testing the rooftop in some capacity to then realize, oh, it's going to be an outdoor event. This is an opportunity for me to go after him. We are waiting for that. And like I said, I was told that they don't have anything that the public doesn't have. So it's not obvious to me. I don't think it's obvious to the public. Now, I do want to get to Viva Frey, who had this to say regarding drones. Regarding the text messages from Tyler Robinson.
A lot has been made about these text exchange that went back and forth between Robinson and his lover, his trans furry gay lover, whatever. And people say it doesn't sound right. Well, there is a video that I want everybody to check out by Turkey Tom. I believe you've watched it now, Viva, where, and this has been authenticated as somebody who was in the Discord chats with them and apparently spent time with them at this apartment. And he said 100% this is how they talked, which is a striking finding. We're going to go into that more probably tomorrow or the next day, depending on how today goes. But I mean, I get the skepticism on this. At first, it struck me too, but apparently this is how they talk, Viva.
That was not the most implausible thing to believe. Okay, so you have a text message. It does read, regardless of whether or not this is how they talk. People saying they were manufactured by or drafted by AI. To the extent that they're confirmed text messages, you can, come to whatever conclusions you want after that. But whether or not this is how they talk regularly, to the extent that those were authentic text messages, they show what they show, which is whether or not his lover was aware of what was going on. You're etching bullets, and it's maybe not for target practice of a sporting nature. But like when I say I don't believe the official narrative, and you have to go back to a number of things here. I put my sort of best theory as to what went down. I want to know who was on the Discord chat in advance, what they were discussing, and whether or not there might have been some other I say foreign, not foreign government, but outer influence there. Tyler Robinson is getting radicalized right about the same time as Thomas Crooks, right about the same time as the other guy, Ryan Ruth. He's being radicalized at a politically relevant period of time, right around the same time, oddly enough, as the alleged suspect in the January 6th pipe bomber. A time frame where political violence is potentially very useful in for the upcoming election. So the time frame of the radicalization is very interesting. To see whether or not he was on anybody's radar beforehand, we don't yet know that, and why there would not be confirmation on that can lead to suspicion. You remember the old man, George Zinn, arrested for claiming to be the shooter the day of, and then gets busted for CP on his phone. Like, in my mind, if I'm making a plausible theory here, George Zinn was probably on some Discord chat with a bunch of young perverts, and he's an old pervert, and he's getting off doing whatever they do on those chats. He knows what's going down. He shows up there and thinks he's going to be some useful decoy or distraction for Tyler Robinson because they know what's going down. That's my theory. But, it is the absence of total disclosure, the total lack of faith that anybody has, not just in the FBI per se, but in any state law enforcement. Nobody has any faith in our institutions anymore. And it leads people to go from, healthy skepticism to just not believing it, to concocting the most outlandish conspiracy theories imaginable. But then those text messages, you can understand how they will cause people to come to those types of conclusions. And, allegedly the rumors are Kash Patel, getting mad at Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent for trying to look into a potential terrorist angle to this also does nothing to foment faith in the system.
Exactly. Also, has anyone heard anything regarding them pulling this alleged boyfriend into questioning? Because if they still haven't questioned the alleged boyfriend who they claim Tyler Robinson is dating, who is his roommate, I would only assume that he was aware of all of this beforehand. I think based off of the text messages, it's been a while since I've seen the text messages, so I can't remember verbatim how it started. I don't know if, I can't remember if the alleged boyfriend was stating like, oh, you were serious, like you actually did it. So whatever it was, I'm sure Tyler would have said something to him hinting around. But I don't recall anyone ever saying that the alleged boyfriend was being brought in for questioning. And if he still hasn't been brought in for questioning, then what the hell are we even talking about? Oh, the text messages were probably fake. Also, do they have copies of the Discord chats? Because based off of other things that came out around that time, when they found out that he was heavily on Discord, it was said that he was saying a bunch of stuff prior to September 10th. So I don't really know how to surmise that. But yeah, this is just all a complete and utter mess. And like I said, I feel as though Erika purposefully did that meeting and trapped Candace Owens into a room for 4.5 hours to give her team an opportunity to put out evidence, put out information, to make themselves look innocent, and to talk about the case and to talk about whatever evidence that they have that has led to this point, and to try to absolve themselves without the interruption and the questioning of Candace. That is so petty and so conniving. And I know that in this particular live, Candace didn't really talk about that at all, but hopefully over the next couple days, she opens her eyes to the fact that she was just checkmated. I really hope that she opens her eyes to the fact that, yeah, Erika is not to be trusted, because I know for a fact that she was fully aware that they were going to do that live. And she said in front of the entire world on Twitter that there would be no live streams, there would be no tweeting, there would be no social media activity until this meeting with her and Candace adjourns, for her team to then go and do the complete opposite. But the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that Candace's team did not send her a notification letting her know, hey, they're going live and you need to go live right now. I would have blew that meeting completely up, because at the end of the day, what are your real intentions here? Why are you sitting there pretending like you really want to be here to give me answers for all these questions that I have, when you and your team are clearly conspiring and doing something else behind my back that you said you weren't going to do? You literally told the public that you weren't going to do that, and you did it anyway. So yeah, I don't really know what is wrong, what is wrong with these people. And it seems like Erika is like on the same wavelength as Andrew and Blake, and they're all full of lies. And this right here was the definite point of being able to see that. So with that being said, I will see if I'm going to continue being interested in following this situation. I may not be following it as closely as I have for the last 2 months. But I'm definitely going to watch the rest of her episodes this week to see, like, okay, what is her energy? How is she moving forward with the investigation? Is she going to let these people shake her? But definitely watching it for the second time, there were some things that I definitely missed in the live stream that I was able to see and hear clearer the second go round doing this review. Yeah, so what do you guys think? I mean, like I said, I don't trust Turning Point USA. At this point, I don't trust Erika Kirk because she blatantly lied in front of all of us. And she allows for her guys to do whatever the hell they want to do. And they all say that they don't do nothing unless she greenlights it. So she clearly greenlit them going live while her and Candace was in this meeting. And that is some treacherous crap to do. So what are you guys' thoughts? Leave them in the comment section below. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.
I'll be back.